Well, it seems I've reached this part of my life again where I'm feeling a bit of deja vu, though nothing ever truly is quite the same. But regardless, I better quickly fill you in that everything has happened during the 9, nearly 10 months of absence since I did the last podcast. Well, first of all, obviously, I turned 25. Quarter of a century old now. Or halfway to being middle-aged. Yes, and James, he turned 14. I got him a Switch for his birthday, which he wanted. Oh, and for mine, he made me another new coat. I should probably mention that. He was upset, but eventually understanding that I did need to destroy the last one, as it was a desperate situation. Plus, the thing was damaged regardless because of a bullet wound. But, yeah. Hey, there's about to be another member joining us. We're expecting a daughter very soon. And most likely, by the time you're listening to this, she will have been born. In fact, actually, you know what, I'm gonna end this bit off here and report back to yous when it has happened. But that's just a quick little update to get you all up to date. Okay, so I'm back, and little Sarah has been born. We chose the name Sarah mainly, I think because, to be honest, it was just one of the names, and that none of us were, well, it wasn't our first choice, either of us, but it was one that we actually both liked. I think that's why we ended up choosing it. But, a lot of things happened leading up to the birth. A lot of things that most couples will not have to deal with, ever. I doubt during, well, not even a pregnancy, in life in general. So you know what? I'm gonna tell you about this in this podcasting's third triumphant series of the Donfrey Doncaster Podcast. But you know what I'm going to do, which I haven't done in a while? I'm going to have a look at some of the comments. I haven't done it in a while, but one of the comments, actually, which I kind of find amusing, is from Billy Joel 98. Got a suggestion for you, Donfrey. You should start reading the comments again. I enjoyed it during the first series, when you occasionally did so, but was disappointed to find that you didn't do it at all during the second series. Yes, well, there wasn't really time to do that, considering all the things that happened last year. Yes. But hey, now that things have died down, maybe I can start doing that again. You know what, let's find a weird one now, is the more interesting, more enjoyable ones. Oh. Kelsey Koo 12 says, are you secretly in a relationship with Spix McKendry? No, surprisingly enough, I am not. For God's sake, why? Why must everyone do this really weird and mad shipping? I mean, look, have your fantasies and whatever, but maybe keep some of them to yourself, especially if they're weird. Like, I am not attracted to him in any sense. I find him repulsive most of the time, mainly for what he's done. And besides, he's much older than me anyway. Well, I assume so. And for those who are probably wondering, well, I bet McKendry fancies you. He probably doesn't. He doesn't see me in that light, I'll give him that. He sees me... I mean, he wants me to be his successor. I imagine in some weird way, he probably sees me as the son he never had, as weird as that sounds. Then again, the weird way his mind works, I wouldn't be surprised. after that one question there, it kind of reminds me why I haven't read the comments in over a year. Yeah, I might just get back to getting on with the podcast. It does make things much less cringy, and we won't get any more of that. So anyway, let me tell you of the events leading up to how Sarah was brought into the world. Before I start telling you all about that, there's something I need to say in the first place, before I start all that off. Well, James, finally accepting Sally and being together. All of that came crashing down when he found out that she was pregnant. He first of all said to me, "Are you serious? Are you actually fucking serious?" "Yes, and I was expecting you to handle it in a more mature way, James." I'm starting to think people are right about you. You're making the same mistakes over and over. First with me and my mum, and now with Sally, whoever this kid's gonna be. Are you... Go on, tell. Are you gonna abandon her too? James, you know fully well. Oh, that if you had known, you wouldn't have gone. You still knowingly had sex with her, knowing that you would have to go. You're a right one-man stander. Okay, I wasn't thinking straight. But I've been trying to make it up to you. And I know it might never be quite enough. But you could at least appreciate it. Yeah, and all that's gonna stop whenever this new baby's gonna be born. No, I'll be there for the both of you. And so will Sally, if you ever let her into your life. Stop trying to make her my mum. I'm not trying to make her your mum. Just because she isn't your mum doesn't mean that she can't be there for you. Tom isn't your father, but you don't seem to have a problem with him being there for you. And him supporting you. Just treat Sally in the same way. What is it with you and Sally anyway? What are you talking about? She's my girlfriend. We're about to have a child together. Sorry, but what are you not getting from that? I feel like you've just forgotten about me ever since you started dating her again. Oh, come on, I've never heard something so pathetic in my life. James, you are very important to me. One of the most important people in my life, but there are others as well. Look, what is it gonna take for you to just, I don't know, calm down a bit and actually accept the situation? Put the baby up for adoption. What? Put the new baby up for adoption. Prove that I am still important to you. I'm going to pretend I just didn't hear that. Because otherwise I am going to put one of my children up for adoption. But it isn't going to be the newborn. Ha! I knew it. Actually, no. No, that's it. I have had it with you. I'm taking your PS4, your Switch, everything. I'm going to take everything off you. Until you can learn to show me some respect. Fuck you. You better watch your fucking mouth. You are treading on very thin ice. You're not the fucking boss of me. You do this, I'll push your girlfriend down the stairs and then we'll see how... I then smacked James across the chest. He then began crying and ran up to his room. I myself went off into the living room and just sat in silence for a bit. I was absolutely fuming with anger with what he had said. I wanted to rip the vocal cords out of him, just to shut him up for 5 minutes. But then after a while, when I had time to cool off and collect my thoughts, I soon regretted what I had done. That was the first time that I had ever hit James. We'd had arguments and that before, which sometimes maybe got a bit too much out of hand, but it never resulted in that. I decided to go and talk to it with Sally. After all, if we were going to have a child together, then, well, she deserved to know what I was like, what I was doing. She told me that we both needed to apologise to each other, but she did agree that James was well out of order, and that something drastic did need to be done, just not what I had done. I mean, don't get me wrong, she was disgusted herself with everything that I told her that James had said, especially the part about pushing her down the stairs. But then again, that's just what kids do, especially at that age, during their young beginning of their teenage years. They'll say things that they don't mean, and they think they all know it all and they all are grown up, whereas in reality they're just really, really cocky kids. I remember my grandmother always used to say to my parents, "Oh, he's just hormonal, it's just his hormones. You know, that's why he's acting up, that's why he's going on like that." Yeah, true, a lot of the time it can partly be that, but still, you should be able to at least control yourself. But hey, maybe we'll do slip. I know I do. And maybe I should stop pretending that it's never going to happen again. I'm going to make sure that it never happens again. Then again, maybe if I just accept it, that's maybe not a good thing either, because, well, then it just starts to become a normal thing and may happen more and more. I think the best thing to do is just try not to let it happen again, but when it does, just accept that now and again slip-ups happen. I mean, it's not right that they happen, but it's just a part of life. Though there is a fine line to draw between slip-up and what clearly is not a slip-up. But it's always difficult to judge, so I won't say what is or what isn't. But anyway, I went upstairs and knocked on James's door. I got no answer back. I waited another few moments, and then decided that I was going to open the door. "We need to have a talk. A serious talk. And if you're not ready to now, then I won't bother trying again until you are ready." "Is this an apology for you hitting me?" "That depends. Is this also an apology for the way you went on, and for what you said?" "Alright. I'm sorry for what I said. I shouldn't have said it, okay?" "No." "What?" "I got taught something when I was your age. Don't say you're sorry. Show you're sorry." "How am I supposed to show I'm sorry?" "I want you to stop this type of behaviour. Stop these stupid arguments. And stop being so horrible towards Sally. And to your new sister when she arrives. Half-sister. You see, stuff like that. The backchatting. And the way in general your attitude is towards us at the minute. So what if she's your half-sister? She's still going to be your sister. She's going to be living here with you, growing up with you. Do you want her to think of you as just a half-brother? Only a half-decent relative? Or do you want to be the brother that she looks up to?" "Alright. I'll go talk with Sally and tell her I'm sorry." "And you promise to be better around her?" "Yes." "Alright then. I'm sorry for slapping you. Promise you that won't happen again. Now let's hope we don't have to ever have this conversation again." I then exited James's room. And to be fair, he did make an effort from then on. I can't say it's been perfect or it's been all smooth sailing, so we haven't had any other arguments since. Though nothing as drastic as we had then. I know he was very close to his mother. I mean, she was the only person he had for years, really, until I came along. So I can see why he's not so eager to let new people in when he's been closed off his whole life. I mean, that isn't an excuse in itself, but it is a reason. But anyway, enough of that. Time for me to finally now jump ahead a bit to the day of little Sarah's birth, which is hopefully what you've all been waiting for. I had decided to take myself, James, and Sally to the cinema. There being a new one built in the neighbourhood, and also along with a new shopping centre. This planet was starting to become more and more populated. To be honest, I almost considered moving. After all, the entire point was to be more isolated and away from people, although I did feel it would be good for James, and it will be good for Sarah to, grow up around people rather than in isolation. Maybe I can, or should I say they, can find some kids and that their own age. There must be some, surely, in the area. But anyway, midway through watching the film, everything seems to be going fine. Then Sally's waters break. She wasn't due to give birth for another couple of days, but I guess Sarah had other ideas. The three of us rushed out quickly to the car park. Myself and James helped Sally into the back seat of the car. I then contacted the local hospital. As I turned on my headlights, as it had now gotten dark, I noticed in the car opposite us there was 2 occupants, a man and a woman. Now obviously normally you'd think nothing of it, though they were staring at us, and I could see that the man was now clutching the steering wheel. But I didn't have time to dwell on that. I had to get Sally to the hospital, and fast. However, as I began making my way out of the car park, there was a sudden crash from behind. I shouted to James and Sally, who were both in the back seat. "Are you alright?" James said, "We're fine. We're just a bit shaken." I then checked the rearview mirror. The car with the man and woman in who had been staring us at being opposite had rammed the back of the car, and by the looks of things, they were going to attempt doing it again. I decided to increase my speed even more. I was already going past the speed limit, and besides, now I had 2 reasons to be going past it. My girlfriend was pregnant in the back, and we were trying to be rammed down by 2 maniacs. Don't know about you, but that seems a pretty good reason to me. So, as they say, I put the pedal to the metal and completely floored it. Unfortunately, they were closing in fast. However, as luck would have it, the left-hand side of the road was a large green. This would be good for 2 reasons. 1, it would be a shortcut to the hospital, and 2, it would mean I wouldn't have to risk crashing into cars or worse, people. I quickly made a sharp left turn, in an attempt to try and throw them off guard and lose them. However, they were well equipped for this, and followed straight behind. James then shouted to me, "Dad, they're practically inches away from us." "James, are you able to climb your way through to the front?" Yeah, I think so, why?" "Just do it!" Okay. What now?" "Do you think that you'll be able to keep us going in a straight line?" "What?" "I'll keep my foot to the pedal, though I need you to take the wheel." "Yeah, but what are you going to do?" As James then took the wheel, I reached down to my ankle and pulled up my trouser leg. Underneath was a gun holster, strapped to my ankle. Ever since what happened in Australia, whenever I go out in public, I make sure I have it on. Not only for my sake, but for James's, Sally's, and now Sarah's sake as well. I was gonna make sure that no one was gonna hurt them, not as long as I'm around. And if any of them are listening to this right now, yes, this is not just a warning, this is a promise. Okay? Got that? Good. I then wheeled down the window. I then unfastened my seatbelt so I could fully lean out, as far as I possibly could without taking my foot off the pedal. I then managed to shoot out both of their front tyres with a laser blast. Despite what some people may think of me, I'm not a murderer. I wasn't trying to kill them. I just wanted to stop them. And for a second there, I thought I had. However, despite not having any front tyres, because of the soft ground, due to driving on a grassy field, they were still able to push on, slightly wobbling about. I couldn't risk that. I had to stop them now. I then took a risk. I took a few shots at their engine. I knew it was risky. It could ignite the engine, setting it in a blaze of fire, which could send the vehicle out of control, endangering us as well. I decided though, if I truly put the pedal to the metal after I took the shots, then even if it did swerve out of control, then we should get away from it. Hopefully anyway. I took 3 shots at it. Then, as I described, I put the pedal to the metal and drove away, putting a good distance between us and them. In the rearview mirror, I was able to see that smoke had started coming out of the bonnet of the vehicle, and it began to slow down. The 2 occupants then got out, and it's a good job they did, as seconds later, the whole vehicle ignited. I thought now that finally the chase had ended. However, a sound from above confirmed that that was not the case, as the 3 of us heard the familiar sound of a shuttle overhead. James was able to see out the back that it stopped briefly to pick up the 2 occupants who were in the car. Then it took off again. And just like the car before it, this shuttle was now pursuing us. James then asked me, "So how exactly are you going to outrun a shuttle?" "Easy. I'm not gonna try." James and Sally both looked confused by this, though Sally was only able to look at this for seconds, as she was quickly out of breath again, as she began hyperventilating. I knew I needed to get to the hospital now, though I didn't exactly want to lead our pursuers along with us. After all, I doubt the hospital staff are trained to deal with this. As I was thinking this, I saw the hospital in the distance. "James," I said, "get in the back now, quickly. When I get to the hospital, you and Sally will have to jump out really quickly." "Why, what are you going to do?" "Well, it's clearly me they want, and I'm not risking them anywhere near Sally when there's a baby due, okay? Or Sally herself, or you for that matter. So I'll just try and lead them off or something." I then quickly swerved the car to a stop as I reached the hospital. Despite Sally not being long for giving birth, she and James managed to exit the car in seconds. I then floated off again. I took a look in the rearview mirror and saw that the shuttle was still after me. I then quickly made a call back to James, saying, "Look, if something goes wrong, or if I don't make out, if I don't get back, I'm sorry." "You're not going to do something stupid, are you?" "I hope not. Though I'm just hoping that they don't have any weapons on board. Anyway, I gotta get off the line. You just cling to Sally for me. Bye." The shuttle then got in front of me. I could tell it was just playing a game, waiting for me to run out of fuel. Then the occupants of that shuttle could then come after me. But this did confirm one thing, that the shuttle mustn't have any weapons. Otherwise it surely would have fired at me. However, now it was in front of me and at a lower altitude. It did give me an idea. It was stupid and dangerous, and only had a semi-decent chance of working, though it was worth a try anyway, as I noticed a bridge, which was for a turn-off for the upper road. I took the bridge, making my way up, until I was just about level with the shuttle. Before the shuttle had attempted to rise higher, I then made a sharp turn, crashing through the safety barrier of the bridge, and off the bridge entirely. I was in the air for a matter of milliseconds, before crashing into the shuttle. This knocked out its engines, causing it to crash as well. Luckily, we were only on the ground for a couple of minutes, when USP arrived. Oh yeah, I failed to mention earlier, that, as well as having a weapon down by my ankle, there was also an emergency distress call for USP, which thankfully they got the memo. They pulled me out of the wreckage of the shuttle. I was remarkably pretty much unharmed, apart from it being a bit battered and bruised. I just said, "Hey, I was wearing my seatbelt." I then saw the 2 occupants who had been driving the car, with a third member who had presumably been the pilot of the shuttle. The 3 of them looked a lot more beat up than I was, though I was told that they hadn't been seriously injured. I was then thankfully rushed to the hospital and was given the quick once-over on the way there. They said they would have to check me thoroughly more later on, though for now I could go and meet up with Sally and James. I quickly found the ward that they were in. I saw James waiting outside. I quickly asked him, "Has she?" He shook his head, telling me, though, that it was only a matter of time. I then rushed into the ward. I found Sally in distress. She did get a slight, though admittedly it was an incredibly slight relief from that stress when she saw me. I then went over to her and held her hand. And bloody hell, she managed to crush every bone in that hand. I swear she gave me more injury than I had in that crash. But it didn't matter. I was there. I was there for the birth of my second child, Sarah. Seeing her beautiful gem green eyes as she began screaming the place down. I was there. They asked me if I wanted to cut the cord. I stupidly made a joke out of it and said this was no time to be talking about American television. Though, after no one found that particularly funny, I did end up just cutting the cord. Then one of the nurses then presented us with the afterbirth, as they so delicately put it. We were then asked if either of us would be eating it. No. To be honest, I have no idea how that ever became a thing. Especially in this day and age, that somehow it'll give your child magical good luck and make sure everything's all hunky-dory for them. So I just asked them to dispose of it in whatever way they thought was best. After holding Sarah for 2 minutes, he was almost fast asleep. I then asked one of the nurses to bring James in. I then turned back and picked up my baby girl for the first time. Babies were quite heavier than I thought, actually. I guess you always imagine them being the weight of those baby dolls. But no, surprisingly they weigh a lot more than that. About the same as a small dog, I reckon. James then finally entered the room. "Hey," I whispered, "come take a look at your new baby sister." I then sat down in the chair so he could see. James then said to me, "Well, she certainly does have a family resemblance." Yeah. It's going to be really awkward for family photos. I mean, if the three of us had our eyes shut, it'd be pretty hard to tell. Oi, you're a good deal older than me. Yeah, I'm older than you. But if you were to ask most people in this hospital, I think I would still be classed as young. So yeah, after a few days, Sarah came home. We had already prepared a room for her and a cot, which I built myself from a flat pack. And yeah, pretty much all caught up to now. Excuse me. I'm bloody knackered. Ugh. See, the one thing about having a baby, and especially around the house, you get no bloody sleep. Good night, everyone. Or is it morning? I can no longer tell. To be honest, I've probably spent far too much time sitting in here doing the podcast rather than doing my fair share. No, I am doing my fair share. This is work. This is something else. This is work. This is... Oh, my kin. Oh, well, I guess if I do a next nappy change, I guess that makes up for it. TTFM. Ta-ta for now.